How do you lose your mojo? Is it like losing your keys? Is it like dropping change down the back of the couch? I know I've lost mine. I think it was about 10 years ago. I'm pretty sure my kids stole it. They stole in the middle of the night like little nappy wearing ninjas and just took it away. Maybe it'll come back, maybe not. It worked for Aerosmith. Certainly car companies can tend to lose their mojo. You might remember in the 90s, Mazda turned into this awful jokey company that made cars that look like a combination of a marshmallow and a jelly bean. And now they've got their mojo back. It can happen to great car companies too. Big, German, exciting car companies like BMW. They got a little carried away perhaps making SUVs in many, many shapes and sizes, or what you might also call making huge profits for their shareholders. But recently they've got that mojo back. The company that's all about the ultimate driving machine, about sheer driving pleasure, has brought back those two important factors, most notably with the new 3 Series, which is a fantastic thing to drive and definitely the best in its class. And now we have this, the new Z4, which looks like sex on wheels, or mojo on wheels. Previous Z4s have been a bit mixed. There was that flame-grilled one that looked like a whopper, or certainly seemed to have been burnt badly. There was a Z3 before that that looked like it was driven by a Smurf. But this time, they've got it right. BMW call this extroverted, which is something of an understatement. It's designed by an Aussie crayon wielder called Calvin Look. And look at it. It's got so much design going on. There's so much scooping and moving. And it's got so much face. It's got more face than Clive Palmer, but slightly prettier, obviously. And look at the back. It's even better, possibly, than the front. It's fat with a capital P-H-A-T. And this scoop on the side, I love it. I don't know what it's for. It's massive. You could put your lunch in there. You could put Clive Palmer's lunch in there. Anyway, apparently it's not all about the design. Z4 says the focus of this car is driving enjoyment, which it should be because no one buys a car like this to be practical. So, is it possible that this car could be as good to drive as it is to look at? Is it possible that any car could be as good to drive as this is to look at? Well, let's find out. BMW is, of course, at pains to point out that the focus of this sporty two-seater is entirely on driving enjoyment. As it should be. No one buys a car like the Z4 because it's handy for going to Bunnings. That means, of course, it has rear-wheel drive and a perfect 50-50 weight balance for better handling. It's also got wider tracks, front and rear, and a shorter wheelbase to make it feel even sharper, and a new fabric soft top that lowers the centre of gravity and overall weight and adds 10 litres of boot space. Plus, there's a new standard sports automatic transmission, because driver enjoyment focus doesn't extend quite as far as having a manual gearbox, apparently. The good news is you can have one of these good-looking Z4s for less than $85,000. But if you want a fast one, it's going to cost you north of $120,000. As you'd expect in any modern car, there are lots of screens. We've got a good 10.5-inch configurable screen in front of me. I've got a head-up display, which is a new thing for a Z4, which is fantastic. It's giving me the revs, it's giving me the speed, it's giving me the speed limit, which is very important because we're in Victoria. We've got another screen here that looks like it's been taken off an iPad, and then your standard kind of buttons and switches. The ride is an interesting balance. When I first got in, I switched immediately to sport because this is a sports car, and it felt wooden, but within that Trojan horse kind of ride, there's a comfort setting. And when I go into comfort, the steering goes to sleep, I kind of go to sleep, and the ride becomes much more supple, compliant. It's nice. You could cruise around town in this. But sport instantly gives you that exhaust lift, and the steering wheel comes alive. I do feel a bit like I'm skating along the road slightly, but at the same time I feel like I'm more connected to it. On rougher surfaces, obviously it's going to be a bit jumpy, a bit cattish, a bit skittish, but on a nice smooth road I'm going to feel far more connected. The steering, well, BMW's always had fantastic steering. For me, it's the second best steering that money can buy. Porsche's always been the standard setter there. But in terms of weight and feelback, BMW always was the best. Then everyone went to electronic power steering, which is kind of like a simulacrum of real steering. It means you can change the way the steering feels between comfort and sport, which is nice, but none of them are real, what I would call real. So in sport, we're loading up more in the corners. There's more feedback. I must say the new 3 Series had really good steering, really genuine BMW steering of old. The Z4 feels good, not quite as good slight shave off of the weight of being done. It feels lively and spry, and it's still, you know, exciting and involving, but it's not touching the Porsche level, and for me, not quite as good as the 3 Series was. What you do feel in this BMW, as in all of them, is that inherent weight balance. You are sitting in the middle, you are the fulcrum of the car. There's a 50-50 weight balance that they work very hard to get. This car is longer than the old Z4 and yet has a shorter wheelbase, and the tracks are wider. They should give us more agility, more grip on the road, and it certainly feels a good step ahead of the last Z4. The acceleration really is quite profound. And it's just a lightness to the steering. It doesn't load up the way as much as you would like. It's not quite as, you know, steering doesn't have to be heavy, but it's not quite as talkative as you'd like. It's that kind of what I call a video game feeling, where it feels like real steering, but you can tell it's not. It's just a bit light on.
The entry-level model S-Drive 20i comes with a turbocharged 2-litre engine that is adequate, as long as you don't live near a hill, and will get you to 100 kilometers an hour in around 6.5 seconds. Throw another 20k at your BMW dealer and you can have the same engine with the wick turned up, in the shape of the S-Drive 30i, which will get you to 100 a whole second quicker. The Z4 you really want, of course, is the M40i variant, which gets the more traditional and more exciting 3-litre straight 6-cylinder engine, plus a turbocharger, which gives you 100 kilowatts more than the base model and will noisily hurl you to 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.5 seconds.
So is this new Z4 further proof that BMW's got its mojo back? Well, yes, kind of, maybe a little bit. But perhaps not as much as the 3 Series, which surprises me because this is supposed to be the sporty one. Still, it does have lots of mojo. It's probably got as much mojo as combining Jim Morrison and Michael Hutchence, and the sexiness of Rihanna on top of that. So looks-wise, it's great, and that's a very important part of buying a sports car. But for me, the steering let it down slightly, the ride's a little too firm. I like it a lot, but I don't love it. Sitting in it though, looking at myself in it, driving past plate glass windows, it did make me feel like I got at least 1,000th of my mojo back. And I'd almost pay 85 grand for that.